We're recording.
Meeting, please come to order. Susie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Levine, McLean Hill, Berard, and Susanna Reyes present.
Thank you. This proceeding is broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. I have no opening remarks, although I guess I'll have one just relating to public comment. We have 4 public comment cards. We also have 1 neighborhood council comment card, 1 8A comment card, and 2 item 15 comment cards. We've got a very extensive agenda, so I'm going to suggest that if the speakers beyond the public comment, the neighborhood council speaker, public speaker, the 8A speaker, and the 2 speakers for item 15 would like to be brought up at the beginning of the agenda so they won't have to wait through a variety of reports. They'd be welcome to do that. So, Susie, what I would suggest is you call the public comment speakers, and then we'll call each of the others and give them the opportunity to speak at the beginning if they would like to do that. If they'd rather wait and speak later, that would be fine too. So let's go to public comment.
Tom LaBonge, followed by Linda Romney.
Aha.
Thank you very much. It's a great day in Los Angeles, and it's good to be here at Water and Power. I just wanted to stop by. I was in the area and congratulate on the quarterback to be, who knows how to get down and lead the men and women of this department to score in the good health of water and power. So, Marty, I just wanted to say that you solved the Griffith Park water problem. There were more leaks in the pipes of Griffith Park prior to Marty Adams coming along in the team, more than there were in all the golf courses combined. And that stopped the fire from raging into the neighborhood in 2007. So I wanted to thank you for that. I also want to thank you. I need more pressure in tank 151 because I cannot water Dante's View, which is a lovely garden up there that'll take you hiking sometime. And I need that help at 151. And I just want to say, as I travel the city still, I see 100 feet up in the sky in 100-degree heat, the men and women of the department working on power lines. On Sunday, I'm driving out 3rd Street and digging in a hole at Arden and right near Rossmore as a crew for a big leak. You're always working, and that's the key. I just stopped by to say hello and thank you and wish you well and tell the DWP story. See ya.
Come every meeting. Come every meeting, Tom.
It's always a hotline.
And you got great security, too.
He let you in.
Linda Romney, followed by Jasmine Vargas.
Putting customers last. The DWP has a policy and practice of not responding to the ratepayers. They do not respond to written correspondence, over 59 written letters without a reply. They do not respond to emails. And furthermore, when you meet with the commissioners, such as your retired Commissioner Vasquez, who I met with back in November of 2018 and presented 59 pages of exhibits, along with her staff, who promised at that meeting and thereafter that they would get the information that was requested and had been requested previously and had been relied upon by myself, and to this day I have not received a response. No response in all that time. Furthermore, when I was in the lobby, your past commissioner, William Funderburk, who is a fabulous commissioner, came up to me, gave me his card, and said the full commission would like to hear your case. In addition to which, I have done California Public Information Act requests in writing, multiple, that have not been responded. Further, what you need to know is that when a customer calls in and the DWP records that conversation, it is impossible for the customer to receive a copy of that tape that is in the sole custody and control of the DWP. And you wonder why you have all these lawsuits. I'm wondering why you don't have more, quite frankly. This is not responsive to your ratepayers. It states on your documentation, it says you can request a management level review and that they will get back to you. That is totally fraudulent, not true. Please do something about this critical issue for all your ratepayers. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Jasmine Vargas, followed by Patricia Mendoza.
Good morning, esteemed commissioners. My name is Jasmine Vargas. I'm with Food and Water Watch, and I have the pleasure of being here in front of y'all today because I get to work with communities across the city as a senior organizer to demand, as a ratepayer, as an energy advocate, the opportunity and the power to actually speak to you and to others in the city that are calling for a clean energy future. I've been doing this work with the LADWP for years now, and now is the time that I see the most excitement and the most folks getting involved and engaged. So I want to bring that to your attention today. We have had hundreds of people go to our community roundtables in 7 different neighborhoods across the city, where we've been engaging them on the plans that you all have been taking on yourselves and thinking about and talking to the management about. And we want to make sure that you realize that people are ready to talk about energy democracy. People are ready to talk about how they can take the responsibility into their own house, into their own homes, into their own communities, into their own families to solve the climate crisis. Every time we talk about going to 100% clean energy in this city by the year 2030, real clean energy, everybody is enthusiastically and overwhelmingly supportive. So it's not the people of this city that are not ready. It's the bureaucracy, it's the political, the political situation that we have today. So I want to make sure that y'all realize that this is not just environmentalists, it's nurses, it's home care workers, it's grandmothers, it's students, it's workers across the city that are demanding 100% clean energy by the year 2030, and we're here to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Patricia Mendoza.
Good morning to the committee. I'm going to interpret for Virginia Ceballos. But quick question, how many minutes am I going to?
2.
Oh, 2 minutes?
Yes.
Can I get a little bit more?
Really not. We've got a very crowded agenda today.
Oh, I would think that maybe I should have filled out a separate and kind of maybe consider to
Well,
add
if you're
it.
translating we'll give you an extra minute leeway.
Thank you, sir.
So.
Thank you, real quick. Virginia Ceballos has owned a beauty salon on Tempo and Edgeworth, a few blocks from here, for 33 years. And she had the people across the street, Darling Flowers, that have been in business for many years, to come and share the location and share the bills. They entered June of 2017. They remodeled without her consent for 7 months. And then going on 2018, in October, there was a bill that was due for $1,200. She came in during the week on a Thursday, and they told her that she needed to bring at least $400 so they wouldn't shut off temporary her electricity bill. But she couldn't gather that $400, so she went the following week. Her account was already given to her tenants. And they took over the account. She's trying to get her account back, but they're trying to charge her for 2 meters. Each meter is $300. Why 2 meters is because it's an old building. And if it's corrected by removing one, it's going to cost the landlord a lot of money. But for more than 33 years, she's been paying 2 meters. And I would like to know, she would like to know if someone can help her. We went to Consumer Affairs, and they told us that it was a big no-no what the employees did downstairs. They see it as a fraud, corruption, and they told us they're the county, so they wouldn't be able to help her DWP is under the umbrella of the city. They bully her, they've harassed her, there's a lot of police reports involved, and it's $300 for each meter, and when she had her account disconnected, they charge $114 to disconnect the line, $70 to send someone to shut off each meter, and I kind of calculated more or less what her tenants own her. From June of 2017 into October 2018, they've never paid electricity bill, gas, or rent. But she's in the process of evicting them. But our concern today, with all due respect, is someone can help us regarding this matter. ¿Hay algo que quieras decir, Virginia?
Marty, is there someone she can talk to?
Yes, actually, Arlene Rodriguez, my assistant, just came in. She's right at the back of the room. If you could get her your information, and she speaks Spanish as well, so hopefully that'll help. And she can make sure we get all the data we need. We'll take care of the problem and get you in touch with somebody here. Okay?
Thank you, and good morning to the public. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the magic language on the neighborhood council issue is discussion with neighborhood council representatives on any neighborhood council resolution or community impact statement filed with the city clerk which relate to any agenda item listed or being considered on this agenda for the Water and Power Board. Susie, we have a speaker.
We have a community impact statement from the following neighborhood councils. We received Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council and also Los Feliz Neighborhood Council, and that is the one speaker.
Okay.
We have one speaker card. Tom Pike.
Hello, everyone. Please pardon my voice. I'm recovering from a cold. I'm here today to represent the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council on the matter of feed-in tariffs. A unanimous resolution from the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council regarding the subject has been sent to the board. And by luck, a relevant item appears to be on today's agenda, 8A. I'm going by the description on the agenda. I was not able to download the actual report this morning. So, to sum up the resolution, the climate crisis has arrived. Just a few days ago, mandatory evacuations were ordered along the 134 for fire experts attribute to worsening heat waves and climate change. As this board is aware, the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council has been seeking ways to increase Los Angeles' usage of green renewable energy. We're particularly interested in reforms that don't require any new infrastructure or construction, such as demand response, which is what I spoke to you guys about last time, and things that can be implemented with the flicking of a switch or the stroke of a pen. So our research turned up another opportunity in addition to demand response, but a simple reform to LADWP's policy on feed-in tariffs. The Los Feliz Neighborhood Council identified two stakeholders who reported that they encountered resistance from LADWP when they tried to install substantial solar generating and energy storage capacity on their homes. The stakeholders reported that they were told it was LADWP's policy to pay for excess power generated with credit toward future LADWP bills rather than cash. The issue here is that the issue here is that for ratepayers who are generating more than they consume at all times, that credit is useless, and they're essentially forced to provide energy to the grid without compensation for the excess energy. And that doesn't seem right to us, either from a ratepayer justice perspective or from the perspective of incentivizing good ratepayer behavior. We should be doing everything we can to help ratepayers contribute positively to the resilience and greenness of our grid. Many utilities pay cash rather than credit for that exact reason. In the Our County Sustainability Plan, passed unanimously this month by county supervisors, that plan calls for 3 gigawatts of just new distributed energy sources by 2025 countywide. And please note that doesn't just apply to unincorporated LA County, but rather the entire county as a whole. Current distributed energy sources for the county account for only about 900 megawatts as of 2018. So what they're asking for each of the cities in LA to do is nothing short of revolutionary, to more than quadruple distributed generation in the span of only 6 years. The county's goal is not frivolously chosen. It was the result of careful scientific analysis of what is necessary for our county to do our part for the world to stay under 1.5 degrees Celsius of global warming, which experts agree is necessary to preserve human civilization. If the goal of 3 gigawatts of new distributed sources is to be hit, then we need every policy tool we can throw at the problem. Alone, the policy reform that I'm here suggesting today will not accomplish that, but it certainly will not. But it certainly will make this difficult task just a little bit easier. So, if my assumption is correct, if agenda item 8A is in fact about feed-in tariffs, I urge the board to add a friendly amendment to that item to close this loophole and properly incentivize distributed generation. Please take the opportunity today to change LADWP's policy so that ratepayers are paid cash for any energy they contribute to our grid via feed-in tariffs. Thanks for hearing me out. And if you would like to discuss this, I don't believe I used my full 5 minutes.
Generally, we don't end up having discussions at this stage in the agenda, but we really appreciate your input.
My impression was that I was giving this as part of agenda item 6, which is discussion. Last time I did this, we were able to have a discussion.
Well, anybody wish to discuss?
All right.
Thank
I just
you.
had a question if I could.
Yes.
Is there a written resolution passed that we could?
Yes.
Do we have a
it's been
copy of that
sent
already?
Yes, it's been sent to the commission. If you'd like me to forward it to your office, I can do that as well. Do you have a card?
Yeah, actually, I'll get it from the commission. It's fine. Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
all right,
I
great.
probably sent it over already.
Yeah, it says basically what I just said
Okay.
here, but all right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope your cold gets all better soon.
Thank you, I'll be fine.
We have a speaker card for 8A.
Adam Mohabit.
Yeah.
Good morning, board and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Adam Mohabit, and I'm here today representing EVgo. For context, EVgo is the nation's largest public fast charging network for electric vehicles. We have more than 1,200 fast charging stations across the country, and 31 of those are actually here in Los Angeles, and we have more under development as well. We are proud to be an LA-based company, being located right in the West Los Angeles area. And really today, I would like to commend the city on its leadership in transportation electrification. With the Green New Deal and its respective goal of 10,000 public chargers by 2022, LA is making important strides in transportation electrification and ensuring that the proper charging infrastructure and investments are in place to support and accelerate the growing adoption of electric vehicles. We have been glad to see that the inclusion of public DC fast charging and chargers have been in DWP's Charge Up LA rebate program. Research has shown, and at EVgo we know, that expanding accessible public fast charging is vital as millions of Americans, and including Angelenos, will be relying on public fast charging as they don't have access to at-home charging. This is doubly important for those who live in multi-unit dwellings. What we would like to do today is recommend the full expansion and extension of that program funding with sustainable funding for up to 2028 and beyond to ensure that Angelenos benefit from smart, clean investments for a zero-emission transportation future that is both equitable and accessible for all. Thanks, all.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your good work also. We have 2 speaker cards for item 15. Susie, give them a call and see if they would like to speak now or later.
Daniel Cagle and Tom Pike.
Hi, my name's Dan Kegel. I'm a ratepayer and homeowner in West Adams. I'd like to thank the board for their leadership on this issue. Adding renewable energy to our grid is crucial for decreasing our use of once-through cooling and reducing our contributions to climate change. Yet adding solar alone makes less and less sense as daytime penetration increases. That's why it's important that the Eland Solar Project includes several hours of storage. It will provide renewable energy around and after sunset when it's most needed. Exercising one or both storage options will send a strong signal to the market that LADWP is serious about nighttime renewable energy. In the future, as solar dominates our daytime supply even further, LADWP should even consider issuing a technology-neutral RFP for evening and nighttime zero-emissions electricity. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hello again. Just to be clear, this is not in my capacity as Litchfield's rep. I'm here as a private citizen for this. I just wanted to add my voice to those calling for the implementation of the most ambitious possible version of the E-Land project, including large investments in storage. Although, as I said like 3 minutes ago, I love finding policy tweaks like demand response and feed-in tariffs that don't require new construction. There's no way out of this that doesn't involve us rolling up our sleeves and getting our hands dirty and picking up hammers. This is an excellent project. It's groundbreaking from a technological point of view and visionary in terms of capacity. It'll be a massive step in the right direction to make a measurable impact on the carbon emissions of this entire region. So I urge you to support the most aggressive possible version of the E-Land project, including storage. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Susie, are those all of the public speakers?
That completes all the public speakers.
Okay, we move to agenda item 3, General Manager.
No specific comments other than to report that normally in the summer at this time I've reported some major power outages and other things that are test the ability of our system. A lot of the work we've been doing on the infrastructure seems to be paying off, along with a little more moderate summer than we've had, but no particularly large outage scenarios in the city. Hopefully it'll stay that way through the rest of the late summertime, but so far it's been pretty clear sailing and pretty good news for the department and its customers. I would like to turn the microphone over to Rich Harrisick, who has a brief presentation to make.
Yeah, I'm proud to announce that the Water Systems Griffith Park South Water Recycling Project was awarded the American Society of Civil Engineers Los Angeles Construction Project of the Year. And representing the project team here with us this morning is Ruwanka Purasinga. Ruwanka, please come to the podium. He's going to introduce the project team and explain the significance of the project. Ruwanka himself is the president of American Society of Civil Engineers Los Angeles Younger Member Forum, and he was a 2018 honoree of the New Faces of Civil Engineering. He's not a new face to us. He's a well-accomplished engineer here at Ruwanka.
Thank you, Rich. I didn't know you were going to mention that. So good morning. My name is Ruwanka Purasinga. I'm a civil engineering associate in the Water Engineering and Technical Services Division. At this time, I do want to invite the Griffith Park project team to please join me at the podium as I go through this. Don't be shy. So as Rich mentioned, the Griffith Park South Water Recycling Project was recently awarded the 2019 Construction Project of the Year by the American Society of Civil Engineers for the greater LA area. The project scope was to extend the existing Greenbelt recycled water line to the southern parts of Griffith Park, which includes the Roosevelt Golf Course, the nursery, and future expansion of Griffith Park. The project components consisted of a 1 million gallon welded steel tank, a new pump station, a new 34.5 kilovolt power supply, and approximately 7,800 feet of new pipeline, 3,000 of which was installed using a trenchless method called horizontal directional drilling. The project has begun providing water to Griffith Park as of June of this year, and will offset the demand of drinking water by about 120 million gallons per year, which is enough water to supply 1,110 households. So I'm going to go down the project team list. So we have Dave Christensen, who's the manager of Project and Construction Management Group, Ali Sabuni, who's from the Construction Management Group, Freddie Blanquel, who's from PMO, Project Management Office, Sarah Lacombe, who's also from the Project Management Office, Jumping Hu, who's from the Geotechnical Engineering Group, Melissa Lau, who's from the Civil Structural Design Group, John Puopolo from Mechanical Design, Alex Budolo also from Mechanical Design, Russell Wohl from Electrical Design, Jaime Fideo from Electrical Design, Frank Martinez from Electrical Design, and John O'Malley from our Power Construction and Maintenance. So a lot of this project was constructed by our own internal crews here on the power side, so they did an excellent job. There are a few people who couldn't be here, including Johan Torolito, who's the project manager, Allison Linehan, who was the construction manager, Richard Chang, who was the design manager, and Jason Lockwood, who was the resident engineer. And we also got a lot of support from other divisions, including the water operations and water distribution. So just want to recognize everyone.
Well, it's fantastic, and it's wonderful to see you all and to hear about this fabulous accomplishment. And for you guys to come here as a group is frankly inspirational. So
Cool.
thank you very, very much.
Congratulations.
Cool. Thanks, Rich.
Congratulations. Thank you, Rich. Good report. Thank you, Marty.
My pleasure.
Comments from commissioners on agendized items and requests from commissioners relating to departmental operations.
I have some.
Okay, Commissioner
If I may
Reyes.
go ahead. We received the biannual report for the Equity Metrics Data Initiative. Just want to let you know that the LADWP website on EMDI is not updated. The latest EMDI report there is as of 2017. And I just want to emphasize that this initiative is a result of community-based organizations and advocates who have pushed for more transparency and measurements of our programs and services. And it behooves us to ensure that these reports that were filed today and the dashboards associated with the Equity Data Metrics Initiative are up to date, easily accessible, and understandable by the public. So I'd like to request that as soon as possible for that website to be updated. Secondly, I have distributed to my colleagues here and our key executives a copy of the Mayor's Green New Deal LA plan. And I would encourage our program managers, project managers to read it, mark the pages that relate to the goals and metrics that LADWP is expected to meet, and ensure that there is alignment to the goals, that there is a pathway to achieve those goals, and that decisions made are informed by the Green New Deal LA plan. So keep the copy handy for your reference to my dear colleagues. And I also recommend that the department look into the mapping, if there's any new programs and metrics, map it to the applicable Green New Deal LA categories and include that information in the reports if possible. And then lastly, so we have this, we've been in the news lately for our IPP, for the Intermountain Power Plant. The IPP has been in the news lately, and there are recent developments that have raised concerns regarding the construction of the natural gas combined cycle units, the length of the contract, the replacement of the converter stations, the compressed air energy storage system, hydrogen-powered salt domes. They're raising more questions than answers, and there are many moving pieces to this project. So I would just like to ask the department to give the board a briefing, an update, a progress report on IPP, and include the milestones that can point to our transition towards a clean energy and sustainable future, and while maintaining that reliable power for LA. And just please be ready with that briefing to the board within the next quarter. So that's my ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Broad.
Thank you. I'm sure we've all been watching what's happening in the Amazon rainforest, and what I'd like to ask staff is will what's going on there affect Los Angeles in terms of water and also the air quality. The predictions are really dire regarding the aftermath of the fire, and I just wonder if our staff is looking at this, and if you could report back to us as to what your predictions are.
Other commissioner comments? Okay, ratepayer advocate.
We'll have comments as appropriate, and you've received a report on items that involve items 15 and 16. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to provide them, and I'll make some brief comments at that time if the item is called for discussion.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's then move to item 7, which will be to determine which items on the open agenda can be approved on consent. Those are items 11 through 27. I need to pull 27 because I need to be recused from that vote. And I know that there is interest in discussion of item 15, so I will pull that. Are there other items between 11 and 26 that other commissioners wish to be pulled for discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve items 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those items are approved. So we will have discussion of items 15 and 27 after we hear from management reports. So if you were here for any of the approved items, I see that you've already figured that out.
They're gone.
I won't comment on the
Draft
exhilarating discussion to follow that everybody's going to miss out
All
on.
right.
Okay, we go to management reports and we begin with 8A. Nancy, updates to the electric transportation customer rebate program.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nancy Sutley, Chief Sustainability Officer.
Wait about a minute.
Yeah.
Someone will get the door without
Somebody get
getting
the door.
anyone stuck in it.
There we go. Okay.
Thank you.
Almost.
Okay, you're on,
Okay.
Nancy.
Thank you, and I'll try to make this brief. You have approved 2 items related to the electric transportation program, but we thought it was a good opportunity to give an update to the board and the public about where we are with our electric transportation program. And there are a number of folks in the audience who can answer the hard questions that you may have. So we'll just go quickly through some of the benefits of electric transportation, I think, which we're all aware of, some of the developments in the industry, where we are in terms of our goals and funding and our strategy, and then just a little information about the 2 items that you approved. Obviously, we view electric transportation as having significant benefits for the city and really for the whole world in terms of the environmental benefits and reduced air pollution and reduced greenhouse gas emissions. But there's also significant benefits to the electric grid with managed charging and other ways that we can use electric vehicles to help us integrate renewables and shift demand away in peak times. And some of the programs that we're working on will help to do that. Obviously, it generates revenue from the department if more people charge, and that's good for everyone because it's sustainable new load growth, supports the goals and the goals in the LA's Green New Deal, and also helps us to prepare for the 2028 Olympics. And our goals are to see in the city of LA 500,000 electric vehicles by 2028. There's been a lot of activity in the marketplace around electric vehicles. The projections are that there'll be 132 EV models by 2022, and really automakers around the world are making significant investments in electric vehicles, both traditional automakers and a number of new companies that are focused solely or primarily on electric vehicles. So there's currently over 40 plug-in electric vehicles available, and also we've seen significant increase in the driving range of vehicles, increasing to as much as 260 miles and maybe more. And really every major automaker is investing in electrification. And it's really across vehicle types. These are all light-duty vehicles, so we'll talk a little bit more about medium and heavy-duty for commercial use, but really across the types of light-duty vehicles that consumers buy and consumers like. There really are increasing numbers of electric vehicles that are available to really satisfy every type of consumer. And the battery technology is improving and the cost of the vehicles are declining, and so we are starting to see real pickup in the market for electric vehicles. U.S. Sales of new electric vehicles has increased in 2018 over 2017 by 81%. In LA County, EVs account for almost 7% of the new cars sold, and I think similarly across the state of California. And if you look at all of the vehicles registered in Los Angeles, it's about 1.5%, though that includes not just new cars that people are buying, but all cars in the city of Los Angeles. So we see the trend of electric vehicle registration continuing to grow in the city of Los Angeles. So that really helps us to look at our own goals, to do what we can to support the dramatic increase in adoption of electric transportation in Southern California. And it's important both in achieving state goals and our clean energy goals, and of course the LA's Green New Deal. So the city of LA has installed over 1,400 EV chargers, including close to 50 DC fast chargers. So that will help EV owners be able to charge their cars quickly within minutes as opposed to hours. And by 2022, we hope to have 4,000 city-owned charging stations. So as you see the goals of 10,000 commercial EV chargers, that those city-owned chargers would be part of that. And so we're working both at our own facilities and in partnership with other city departments, including the LA DOT, the libraries, airport, rec and parks, Bureau of Street Lighting, and with other agencies, including LAUSD and others, to make sure that charging infrastructure is accessible to everyone in the city and visible, and that will help to spur adoption of electric vehicles. And of course, you heard earlier from EVgo, there are a number of private companies as well who are installing electric vehicle chargers all over the city. And that is reflected here. We have about 3,000 commercial EV chargers that are available in the city, so on the road to reaching our goal of 10,000 commercially, or 10,000 publicly available chargers by 2022. And the Charge Up LA EV rebate charger rebate program has supported the installation of charging stations across the city of Los Angeles. As of May, we had over 1,700 commercial charging stations that have been rebated since the beginning of the program. And that program really helps to support the installation of chargers in multi-unit dwellings and shopping centers and workplaces and other places. And we have just recently adopted the DC charger fast charger rebate, and that will help to accelerate the installation of DC fast chargers throughout the city. We're fortunate to have some very good funding sources for our electric transportation program. We use proceeds from the sale of low carbon fuel standard credits, and also we get the benefit of our greenhouse gas reductions through the California carbon market to fund the majority of our electric transportation program. And this will help us to further reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the city of Los Angeles and help the state achieve its goals. And The good news is that particularly the LCFS credits, the availability of funding as a result of selling those credits, and those can be applied to the EV rebate programs, and those numbers have been increasing a great deal. So that program, it was one we were allowed under CARB regulations to voluntarily opt in to the LCFS program. So we don't have a compliance obligation, but we generate credits because electricity is a lower greenhouse gas intensive fuel for vehicles than other fuel products. And so therefore we generate LCFS credits from residential and commercial EV charging within the city. So we can sell those credits. It's a private transaction. But the CARB regulations require that we use the proceeds of those credits for the benefit of current and future EV customers, to educate the public on the benefits of EV transportation, and to provide rate options to encourage off-peak charging. So we've used these funds to incentivize EV charging infrastructure through our rebate programs, to do education and outreach, and to enter into partnerships with city agencies and others to support more EV charging throughout the city of Los Angeles. The overall strategy is really has a number of parts, including looking at opportunities to install EV charging infrastructure on our own facilities, and to own and operate our own set of chargers. So we've already installed about 700 chargers, including pole-mounted curbside chargers that are available on the city streets for public use. We've installed 14 DC fast chargers at publicly accessible locations, and those are very heavily utilized and relied on by EV drivers. And one project that's underway, and you can see very visible in our garage, is to increase the number of chargers at JFB to over 300, including some new DC fast chargers. We're also working on education, on marketing, and on outreach, and looking at many opportunities to increase electric vehicle adoption by spreading the word around EVs and our rebate programs. And then partnerships is also to work again with other city departments to reach a goal of 4,000 EV charging stations on city-owned property by 2022. So we're working with a number of different agencies. And one of the packages that you approved today will help move that along. When it comes to education and outreach, again, a number of different activities underway to spread the word about electric vehicles, including ride and drives, which get people into electric vehicles and people get excited about them. We've already done 4 this year, and a big opportunity coming up in September is National Drive Electric Week. There will be activities all over the city, all over the country, with ride and drives and other opportunities to see electric vehicles in action. And we also participate in a number of community events and give presentations around the city. We were just at Ciclavia last weekend, and a lot of people stopped by. And also looking at marketing to create a consistent branding and message around the program, the Charge Up LA, and so you can see those banners around the city, around our facilities, around JFB. And we're working closely in partnership with other city departments. We had some California Energy Commission funding, so under that funding we were able to install 185 commercial chargers in partnership with LA DOT, with World Airports, with the public libraries and the police department. We also have an MOU with the Department of General Services to provide additional funding to sort of top off the commercial rebate and offset the cost of new charging stations at a number of city locations. We have an MOU in place already with the Harbor Department to help to fund some of their electrification efforts in support of their Clean Air Action Plan, looking to electrify trucks and yard tractors and a number of other electric transportation equipment around the port. And so we are looking to execute additional agreements with other city departments, including DOT, the libraries, rec and parks, and also with other agencies, including LAUSD, to help facilitate even more charging stations. And we also participate in a number of advocacy organizations, such as VELO's, California Electric Transportation Coalition, to advance EV adoption, and participating in a number of studies to help identify opportunities to increase electrification, including the West Coast Clean Transit Truck Initiative to look at a corridor, a West Coast-wide corridor for heavy-duty transportation along the I-5, so that will help spur electrification of trucks. We also participate in the Regional Transportation Electrification Partnership that's being led by the LA Clean Tech Incubator. Our rebate programs, we have residential rebates, commercial, used EV rebates, DC fast charger rebate was expected August launch. We've met that date, so that has launched. The medium and heavy duty rebate has also launched, and we're still developing the residential smart charger rebate pilot to really try to use technology to help spur people to charge when it makes most sense for the grid, and take advantage of the technologies that are both in the chargers themselves and what we all now have in our homes.
Nancy, if I
Yeah.
could, on that last slide, we've heard from EVgo, and you mentioned a minute ago. So where would an organization like them plug into this? Do you know exactly how they plug into the rebate
yeah,
program?
they and other companies have taken advantage of our commercial EV EV charger rebates. So that's, I think, the majority of those are done by third parties like EVgo and other companies like that, working with property owners around the city, and also the DC fast charger rebate. And a number of those companies are looking at installation of DC fast chargers around the city, including Tesla and Electrify America, and a number of others who are looking at those, so they can take advantage of any of those.
Thank you.
You have approved the request of the board, and just to give you a couple of highlights, one is to set a pot of money. This is primarily from the sale of LCFS credits, and to authorize the GM to allocate funding. Two of the modifications that we're looking at is increasing the used EV rebate. It has been at $450, to increase it to $1,500. We believe that'll help with the uptake of that program and put us more in line with the used car rebates that are offered by other utilities, and to add an installation rebate component for the residential EV charger rebate. That's been, we think, a barrier to uptake of our residential EV charger rebates. And as I said, the annual funding for this will be provided through the LCFS credits and other and carbon allowances, and conditioned on us having sufficient credit proceeds to fund those programs. And so this is sort of, we are now entering phase 4 of our rebate program to really expand the types of rebates, the amount of money that's available for electric vehicle charger rebates, to really try to cover the market. So we started out with residential EV chargers, added commercial, and now expanding that to include medium and heavy duty DC fast chargers, used car rebates, and adding in the items that were approved today. We expect that the annual expenditures will continue to grow, and this will support us reaching the goals to get 10,000 commercial EV chargers by 2022, 5,000 by 2025, and 28,000 by 2028, and other goals that are contained in the Green New Deal. And we will continue to closely monitor how those expenditures, how those monies are being expended and what we're getting out of them, and report to the board on the progress there. And we also think this is an opportunity for workforce. Already, our crews are installing 700 EV chargers at our own facilities, and this rapidly expanding EV industry is creating local jobs, and we are working to make sure that we have the workforce in place, both internally and externally, to meet all of those goals. And then the second thing that you approved today was this delegation of authority to enter into agreements with other city departments, again, funded by the low carbon fuel standard credit proceeds. To date, we've generated over $50 million as a result of selling our LCFS credits, and that gives us the opportunity to help to offset some of the costs associated with installing EV chargers at city facilities and for the public. So we will use that to enter into MOUs with various city departments that will help us to achieve these goals, and we will support their transportation electrification projects and approve them before we spend the money. And again, the benefits of electrification and using and leveraging the infrastructure that the city already owns and the facilities that the city already owns to help to either not just kind of randomly do it, but really look at places where we can get the most bang for the buck, and even to ensure that we are addressing areas with currently low EV penetration. And you've already approved the item on the agenda, and that's it for this one, unless you have any questions.
Well, before we go to the next one, does anybody have any questions? Commissioner Broad.
Hi. Nancy, I have a question about the EV chargers. Are we installing the chargers at shopping centers and hotel parking lots?
So those are mostly being done by these third-party companies that are taking advantage of the commercial charger rebates. And what LADWP does is in addition to providing the rebates, we bring the electric service to the point at which those companies can install the charger. So, I think that we're definitely seeing a lot of EV chargers. First of all, a lot of people taking advantage of our rebates, and a lot of those chargers are going into places like shopping centers and hotel parking lots where the public has access to them, in addition to some of the normal parking garages around the city.
And do we have any say as to how they install them or who can use the chargers?
Well, I think generally those are publicly available because they make some money over installing them, and there's increasing interest from commercial property owners to have EV chargers on their property. And some of what both our own plans for chargers that we're installing on property that we own and working with the other city departments is to ensure that we have some additional say over where there's EV chargers, so we're in a sense filling in gaps where some of these commercial entities may not be installing chargers.
Well, I was at a hotel on Friday, and you were there too.
Yes.
And at that parking lot, they have the chargers for Volt, but Tesla cannot use those chargers.
Yeah, I think this is an issue that that there isn't necessarily right now standardization among the automakers of both the types of chargers and the connections into the cars, and so that's, I think, as it was with cell phones, 10 years ago, where there was like every cell phone had a different kind of charger. I think that we'll start to see more standardization, and we're trying to make sure that our infrastructure is able to support the types of chargers that are going in. But I think until the industry decides that it's in their interest to standardize the chargers, this will continue to be an issue.
Well, who's telling them that?
I think they're hearing it more and more from people. As you noted, if you get to a parking lot and you have a certain kind of car, and you see a charger and you can't use it, you're going to be pretty frustrated. And so I think they are hearing from consumers that they want more access to the chargers and more standardization. I think we're starting to see that happening.
More people are buying Teslas.
Yeah.
And it seems that this is a negative, that they can't use the EV
Yeah, and
chargers.
I think there's some of those models where they have adapters that either come with the car or you buy as a sort of an additional that will let you use any kinds of chargers. But I think that is something that I think the EV industry is going to have to get a hold of soon, so they don't have frustrated consumers.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Ma'am? Yes, go ahead.
Just thank you. This is really wonderful to expand the program because this will move the needle in reducing our greenhouse gas emissions because transportation is a huge source of that. So I really like the increased use of the used EV rebate. I just want to make sure that this is going to customers who most need this rebate and that they are going to the people who will most benefit from it. So our outreach and marketing will be very important. One thing that I want to suggest or ask is there a plan to make the rebate from the point of sale? Because it's really a barrier right now. Folks who buy the used EVs get a reimbursement from the department and they fill up the form, they have to wait. But if it's in the point of sale, it will get them to incentivize them to really buy the used EV, because it's deducted straight from the retail cost of that car. So if that could be considered. And then the other thing is on the maintenance part of it, I think will be a great way for job creation as well, because eventually that infrastructure will need to be maintained. And I know the LA Trade Tech has a course for maintaining those infrastructure, and so we could take a look into that and see local hires and boost the job situation that we have. So that's one thing. And the last thing is that for our commercial EV chargers, I heard that there is a $1,500 feasibility analysis fee for every individual commercial EV charger request. But then some of like EVgo here or Blue LA, when they do their site selection and infrastructure installation, they do it by multiple sites. So do they have to pay individually that $1,500, or can that be assessed for a batch of them? I don't know. but I'm just
going to let
asking
Jeff
that.
answer that
Right.
question.
Thank
I'll
you.
I'll answer that one for you. So, as far as the EV charging and feasibility studies,
Right.
each site would have to be done individually because we're looking at the feasibility of doing the work and serving by the existing infrastructure for that site they've selected.
Mhm.
One of the things that we've done with the EV industry is that we've offered them some in-house training to help them make better decisions on the feasibility. So before they go
Right.
into a site, they have a better idea that we could serve them. So they're making better choices right off the get-go instead of stranding that $1,500 for something that's going to cost them an enormous amount of money to
Right.
to
The
move
site
forward.
selection is pretty much hit and miss. It's a lot of barriers there. So thank you. If you're doing that, that'll be a good step.
And also, Jeff and his staff meet regularly with a number of the companies to both help them do things like that and work through the process and try to make it simpler and more streamlined.
Thank you.
And then, so there is a marketing plan for the used EV charger rebate, but we'll certainly take another look at that. I think the points that you raised are extremely important. On the point of sale, just to let you know that we are working with other utilities in the state at the request of the Air Resources Board and now by regulation to set aside a portion of the LCFS credit proceeds for a point of sale rebate for new vehicles. I think once we get that established, which is moving along and hopefully will be done soon, the used cars are more complex because there are many other places where you can buy a used car of any kind, including a used EV. But we'll certainly look at whether there are ways that we could make that process simpler and more like a point of sale. Whether we could actually, kind of take on the complexity of a point of sale for used cars, that may be difficult, but we'll take a look at that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions, and thank you for the presentation. And they center around jobs and also the marketing that you referenced. And my questions really go to what are the outcomes as it relates, for instance, because often in government in particular, we'll talk about engagement, outreach, marketing, and we also talk about jobs. And it'd be, for me, useful to know what we've set as the measure of success. So what are we trying to deliver against as it relates to the marketing? Sorry. My phone doesn't usually work here, so I don't worry about that.
The lead
But
line
Reggie
building.
fixed it. So what are we, what are we benchmarking against, or what is on our end of this? What does success look like from the perspective of outreach and marketing, and then from the perspective of actually meeting some of these local job targets? What are those targets? Who are we coordinating with? What kind of resources are we setting aside in order to actually be able to achieve them, or is it something that we just think will naturally develop?
Yeah, so on the marketing, obviously, this is, I think, an issue that everybody is trying to figure out what the right metric is. I mean, we are obviously seeing EV car sales going up significantly, and I think statewide it's close to 10% of new cars are plug-in electric vehicles or battery electrics. Yet there's still a lot of lack of awareness among consumers about whether an EV, what is an EV and whether it's right for them. So, but I think we'll have to get back to you on sort of how we're assessing the effectiveness of our own marketing programs, and then similarly on jobs, we'll get back to you with some additional information on that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy, can I just ask you, in terms of having, good charger infrastructure citywide, so we don't have any blank areas in the city, do we have the ability to focus the rebate programs differently or do things if we need to encourage more chargers to be put in any area of town, because we are trying to get more EVs, universally purchased and available. And one of the issues are there chargers for them or not?
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the reasons why working with other city departments allows us access really around the city, where if there are not companies, these third-party companies that are installing chargers in parts of the city, we can target those parts of the city where the city has facilities. For example, the Crenshaw Service Center, which is now a very popular place to charge an electric vehicle, and in South LA. So that's one way we can do that. And I think also in terms of both the outreach and the marketing, targeting events all around the city, and working with community-based organizations to spread the word about electric vehicles. In terms of the rebates themselves, obviously it's sort of complicated to figure out how to target those, other than to really try to get the word out places that are underserved.
Okay, we're ready for the next one.
Okay. All right. Oops. Somebody watch the magic of work here.
Commissioners, my name is Jay Lim. I'm the supervisor of integrated resource planning in the power system.
He's going to assist me with this presentation. So this is just an update on what's going on with Clean Grid LA, with our path forward to address the direction from the mayor in February of this year. We really, over 100 years, have been able to bring reliable water and power to the city of Los Angeles, and this new initiative is yet another milestone in the way to clean energy. Since the mayor's announcements, we've created in the power system a Clean Grid LA division, and has been working to look at opportunities and things that we can do to plan for and address the once-through cooling retirements by 2030. And as you'll recall, when we last talked about this, these are really the guiding principles for sort of looking at the power grid locally, and how we can ensure reliability. We have aging generation facilities. Our challenges in integrating intermittent renewable energy resources, and installing new equipment and technology around generation, transmission, and distribution around the city. And these are all challenges that exist even without questions about what we will do with the once-through cooling units, but it's important that we always keep our eyes focused on reliability of the system and ensuring Angelenos that the system will continue to perform as well as it has for many years to come. Obviously, the environmental goals are very clear and ambitious, and we have achieved a lot through our early coal replacement, energy efficiency, renewables, solar storage, and we're talking about electric transportation. And we're expected by 2030 to have reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by about 80% below our 1990 levels, and we're well on our way to achieving that. We'll ensure that there's flexibility to grow the system, so looking at various renewable distributed energy resources and other resources that will allow flexibility, and looking for innovative programs in our energy efficiency and demand response in electric vehicle charging, community solar, and others to ensure that we have what we need, and of course focused on the rate impacts. This is a very significant transformation for our power supply, and we will do so in a manner that's sensitive to rate impacts. We have public processes around the Integrated Resources Plan, the Strategic Long-Term Resource Plan, and the 100% Renewable Study that are open with active participation by stakeholders as we discuss options to meet those goals. Some of our recent successes, we are almost 50% below our 1990 level emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, and you may have seen some reporting out of the state of California that the power sector is driving the greenhouse gas emission reductions around the state, and that California continues to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions largely because our grid is getting cleaner. We're well ahead of the state targets and doing well in increasing the amount of renewable energy, and a number of projects that this board has approved are moving forward. So as you're already familiar with the mayor's announcements, that we are no longer pursuing the planned repowering of our ocean cold thermal units, and looking at what the clean alternatives, and in keeping our eye on the ultimate goal of phasing out fossil units and attaining 100% clean energy resources as laid out in the LA's Green New Deal, as well as SB 100 that is now state law. So we still must replace or offset 1,660 megawatts of in-basin generation that currently relies on ocean water for cooling, and we'll have to do a number of things, including upgrading transmission arteries, to import additional renewables, to increase energy storage, and to specifically target distributed energy resources and others in order to maintain a reliable system. And so we are kind of have two simultaneous efforts underway, which will all come together in the Strategic Long-Term Resource Plan, but the LA 100 study that's underway and due to wrap up next year, that sets out the pathway to 100% renewable energy, and the Clean Grid LA, which seeks, again, sort of by next year to identify how we will address the 1,660 megawatts of in-basin generation that currently uses ocean water for cooling and must cease using that no later than 2030, and all on the road to 100% clean energy by 2045 and zero carbon grid by 2050, as laid out in the LA's Green New Deal. So as we look at the types of resources that we will need for our clean energy future, it's adopting existing technologies such as solar, wind, geothermal, and storage, but also significant investments in transmission, in distribution, in collaboration with our customers, particularly around distributed energy resources. We think a diverse approach is important for both mitigating cost risk and also to maintain reliability. We will for sure need some additional resources, both in basin and out of basin, to replace the lost capacity from the once-through cooling units and to maintain resource adequacy. So we're working on all of these fronts to look for opportunities to do this in a way that both meets our reliability goals and keeps costs down. So looking about how we're going about that, we've got a number of folks around the department working through each one of these important subjects to try to identify where those opportunities are. We have a Clean Grid LA Steering Committee made up of DWP employees. It's an internal work group, and that's co-chaired by myself and Reiko Kerr, and a number of working groups looking at distributed energy resources, looking at our infrastructure, transmission planning, our energy supply, environmental support, and a number of other efforts, including, importantly, workforce development, so to work with city personnel, with labor, at what are the jobs that we will need to meet our Clean Grid LA efforts, and what those job impacts will be both internally and across the city. One of the things that we...
Could you back up?
Sure.
Does each one of those bullet points represent a working group?
Yes.
Or, okay.
That's correct, yeah. So those are made up of department employees, and they report into the steering committee, which meets weekly to try to keep this planning effort moving along. So one thing that we did was solicited ideas from DWP employees, from Power System employees. They've submitted over 80 ideas, and each one of them is being reviewed for feasibility and to see if these are things that we can and should do. So we appreciate the input from a lot of different parts of the department with some very interesting ideas. We also went out with this distributed energy resources request for information, and we got 61 responses. Those are being evaluated right now by the working groups as well, and that will be used to prepare future RFPs for distributed energy resources, hopefully later this year. So as I said, we're evaluating those requests for information responses. We've already heard a presentation about expanding the feed-in tariff program, and that'll come back to the board. We've expanded the demand response program. We've got about 35 megawatts enrolled for this summer, and next summer looking at a residential thermostat program, and that will be coming back in October for approval, looking at opportunities for building electrification. So we participated in a number of studies and coordinating with other city departments and looking at how we incorporate building electrification targets into our long-term plans, and also working on a number of microgrid projects, grid resilient solar and storage projects, with designing those at key rec and parks facilities that will help to provide power and air conditioning to the public in the event of a grid outage. So you'll hear more about that soon. Another important component of whatever we ultimately decide we need is to upgrade transmission. So we're looking at projects to accelerate and updating the long-term transmission plan, the 10-year plan, looking at the environmental process to see if there are some ways that we could make that move faster. We've identified a number of near-term investments over the next few years in Basin, and looking also as well at expanding the Barron Ridge renewable energy corridor, which brings renewables from Mojave and other places into the basin. Transmission is definitely a challenge. New projects take a long time to get from planning to completion. Planning is a part of it. The environmental review process has been lengthy, and construction is also a challenge, and the challenges vary depending on whether you're looking at underground transmission, in basin, and overhead, and each one of those has its own special set of challenges. which we'll illustrate by looking at a couple of recent projects. This is Barron Ridge overhead out of basin that's helped to bring 1,000 megawatts of renewables to Los Angeles, 62 miles of new transmission lines, plus some reconductor lines. It took about 8 years from project definition to actually getting it into to service, and it was completed in 2016, and helps to support both the solar projects, and we plan to expand it further, and also helps to expand the capability into Castaic pump storage. The second was an in-basin project, which included a lot of underground high-voltage transmission, and that took 12 years to complete. We started in 2006, and it was recently placed into service. There were a lot of challenges with this one, including a challenge with a state agency that shall not be named that took over 2 years to resolve. But the good news is it's done. But it does highlight some of the challenges of doing these transmission projects in basin. As we look at energy supply, we still are intending to ask the State Water Resources Control Board to align the OTC deadline, so that will be coming back to you. The current deadlines has us ending once through cooling at Scattergood at end of 2024, and the remaining units in 2029. And if we can align those dates, that'll give us some flexibility to work on all the many moving parts of this project. We also, in the meantime, have to replace the pollution control equipment at all our in-basin units to comply with South Coast rules, and it will help us to proactively control emissions coming from our natural gas-fired power plants. So we've got a schedule for that. We're updating our energy efficiency potential study so that we can increase our offerings and penetration of energy efficiency, and undertaking a number of reliability studies around our local transmission grid, and also at resource adequacy. And one of the issues there is looking at storage, how storage fits into our reliability metrics to meet our goals there. We've made some progress on a number of clean energy projects, including Springbok 3 and Elin, which you will hear today. And we've got the battery pilot under construction in JFB, and as well an RFI for transmission side energy storage. And then finally, just looking at the LA 100 study, so where those two big arrows that will eventually come together. The final plan due at the end of 2020. This clean grid effort will support the goals in the LA 100, and then the strategic long-term resource plan will take the results of the 100% study. We held an advisory group meeting in June, and the next one is coming up in the middle of September. So the next LA 100 advisory group meeting will be on September 19th. And then looking at our next steps, the evaluation of the distributed energy resources RFI is already underway. Make this a presentation to inform folks where we are, and again with the goal of finalizing the plan by the end of 2020. And they're pretty graphic, just to keep in mind some of the dates that are coming up, and that arrow ever moving forward. So I think that's it. Thank you. If you have any questions.
Very artistic.
Yes.
Questions, comments, applause?
I have a question.
Okay, well, a little pause,
If
yes.
you could go back, I think it's 14.
Be a faster way to do this. 15, 14. This one?
That's it.
Okay.
When you're talking about underground, the Metro has this grandiose plan for, which is needed to go over the Sepulveda Pass to, decrease the amount of traffic from the valley to the west side and west side to the valley. If they go underground, is this, how is that going to happen based on what you're saying here about the transmission underground?
Well, I think I think it'll be challenging, to say the least. Yeah, it's I think one of the things that we'll look at is whether there are other. We already have existing transmission corridors throughout the city, obviously, that support our current infrastructure and distribute, move and distribute power all over the city. So, one of the things we'll have to look at is whether there are other opportunities to use other corridors to help to meet our needs. So, I think the most difficult thing if we're building a transmission line is to have to acquire new right-of-way. So there may be opportunities to partner with other agencies where they're doing work if it makes sense, and that's something we'll take a look at. But I think in terms of the challenge in front of Metro, they've got a lot of projects underway and seem to be able to get things done when they need to, where they need to.
Because they're also looking at light rail, but I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah, I don't either. Although, I think in terms of discussions, we're in discussions with Metro to make sure that we can meet their needs as well.
One of the things that's come up is, are there opportunities to use Metro tunnels or other people's avenues as a conduit? And one of the things, when we put a underground cable in, it goes in a secure conduit, so it can't be affected by anything around it, or if it should fail, it wouldn't damage anything around it as well. But one of the things, if you look at the cable they're pulling there, that's not by any means the biggest of the cable. And so a lot of these cables, they have connectors, and they connect because of the weight. About every 1,000 feet, you have to put another splice, and the splices are rather large, and typically they all go in some kind of vault. And so we've even looked, even if you direct buried a cable and found a way to encase it, you still don't get away from the fact that every 1,000 feet or so you have to have a connection. Otherwise, you're dealing with a sheer massive amount of weight that is very hard to actually construct it. So we've talked about shortcuts and new processes and products that maybe don't exist and things like that might make undergrounding cheaper. But at the end of the day, you're pulling a massive amount of copper. Even if you're laying it to a certain distance, and after that, the weight just becomes too big for the truck, too big for the spool, too big for the equipment, and you have to make these connections. And so it's tedious work as opposed to overhead, because in overhead you don't have all the insulation and all the other things that add a lot of weight to the product. Jeff, did you have anything you want to add on that?
No, I think you pretty much summed it up. Is that and with this project in general, it was actually an experiment where some of our largest, you talked about the lengths and the splices. We kind of stretched to the limit with the equipment and being able to trailer this the cable out to the job site because of the enormous size of that. So I think Marty summed it up pretty much.
So, are you done?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, again, very nicely done. As I was listening, I'm listening for a few things. It sounds like we're pretty preliminary in terms of, the presentation identifies all of the issues. It sounds like we're pretty preliminary in terms of how we're going to resolve the issues, and even things like the time that it takes because I know the transmission piece is a pretty critical piece, and the time that it takes to get transmission projects done. I mean, my impression is there's going to have to be some pretty significant multi-jurisdictional collaboration in order to have this occur, that it's not the ordinary course of business will not get this achieved. And I am interested in understanding, perhaps not today, but at some point not far from now, sort of what this process really looks like in terms of how we execute it. And I do appreciate that we've got the challenge of both planning the what and then thinking through the execution. The other piece that I want to be to really understand is that we have assessed the challenge or the magnitude of the challenge in a way that we ensure that we are applying the appropriate amount of resources to meeting the challenge, because on paper and laid out all nice and pretty, and then with a proper presentation, it just seems so logical and simple, and everything flows, and then you've got that nice little arrow moving forward. Yeah. But what's missing, I think, is, or what could be overlooked, is the sheer amount of, the heft of this lift. The magnitude of what will need to be occurring, all of the pieces that have to be aligned. And I think in my mind, the things that I'm most concerned about is making sure that we don't under-resource, either in terms of talent or money. And at what point will we begin to or be in a position to actually assign some cost to this effort?
Thank you. So yeah, I think in terms of the sort of the execution of this, I think one, we know how complicated this is. We certainly have our own recent experience, as well as we know some of our neighbors as they've done transmission projects, and I so I think there's a few different things. One is just arriving on what is, and that in and of itself is challenging. So those studies are underway. We had a 10-year transmission plan. We always have a 10-year transmission plan, but the sort of what do these changes mean for that? What are the absolute have-to-do projects? What are the no regrets projects? What are the it would be great if we could get this done, because if we can't, we have to do something else. So that is all underway right now, and I think we're starting to get a sense of what those are. I mean, we had some transmission needs, some transmission upgrade project needs even before we kind of started down this particular road. So I've said that all is underway. We're looking at the environmental review process and what are the options there to make that go as smoothly as possible, and then also we know it's even with a approved environmental document, it is still challenging. There are construction challenges, as well as dealing with not just with the public, but with other agencies as well when we're working out in public right-of-ways. So all of that is something. And then I think there's also, kind of to your second question, which goes along with this, is things like to be able to do some of these transmission upgrades on existing lines, you have to take them out of service. And so scheduling that, I mean, we're talking about a 10-year window to get a lot of things done, and managing all that will take both talent, as you said, and dollars. And so as part of our steering committee, Ann Santilli sits on that. So and they've been starting to do some analysis around the OTC study and other things, so that we start to understand what those resources are, as well as having human resources
as part of the steering committee so that we're understanding the impact both on our workforce and on the sort of the job market in LA. And then certainly depending on what technologies and what things we are looking at, also understanding, are they available? Can we get them here in the time we need? So we've got a lot of folks working on this, and we will start to sort of narrow down kind of what the options are very soon.
The only other thing I would say about this is that I think it's going to be important that we think about from sort of the 100,000 foot level, kind of the agency perspective and mandate around this work. Because in addition to everything else, the amount of public will that will need to be generated in order to actually, get everyone moving in the same direction, I think it's going to be critical. And so as we look at this kind of a challenge, we're going to have to get really clear about who we are and what we're doing, both in the context of this and what we're saying, but also in the context of other things that we're saying, because too many messages out there make it difficult for folks to be really clear about, what the mission is as it relates to a project of this magnitude. I mean, Commissioner Berard mentioned, Metro, and they're tearing up the entire city, and then you've got at the same time that the airport seems to be
perennially under construction. Yeah.
Yes, but they had a long time and spent a lot of capital to build a set of consensus around what they were doing, what the outcome was going to be, and why it might be worth enduring the pain. And I think that's going to be an important aspect of this work as well, and who's going to take the lead in that and how we support that's also going to be something that we're going to need to think about as we are sort of grinding through the critical details and also the sort of the technological challenges. So it's a very, very, very big job, as you know, and I'm looking forward to seeing it progress and appreciate the presentation, and certainly looking forward to the outcome of those work groups.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I wanted just to add something, to go back to Metro. I think it would be a good idea if DWP had some community meetings at the same time as Metro is having these meetings, because they're having community meetings. And I was at one last week where people said, what's the cost of this? And the answer was, we don't know. And a lot of the ongoing I'm trying to think of the word. The aggravation that people are going to have to go through, or the sound, the shaking. Now I hear that they're going to get rid of 120 homes in Sherman Oaks to go underneath. So there's very little information about what this is all going to cost and what it's going to mean for the community. And yet Metro is out there, talking about these plans. And I think these two things have to go together.
Yeah, I think you both make excellent points about, it's not like there's nothing else going on in the city or anything else going on at the department. So I thank you for the input, and we'll definitely work on that.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd like to hear just an initial insight into the building electrification Is that going to be, because as part of the bigger picture, is that going to be tied into the energy efficiency potential study? One, because I think that's one of the more viable path to zero emission. And how are our policies aligning in terms of decarbonization and other complementary policies, and what the path to building electrification will look like? So that, for me, I think is something that is going to move rapidly. We've seen cities already adapting building electrification. So I'd just like to put it up and on your radar, hear your initial thoughts on it, and then we could discuss it further as it becomes more ripe for the discussion.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be happy to give you sort of an update about where we are with building electrification. We have completed one sort of potential study working with a number of other utilities, and there's certainly opportunity. I think the questions about sort of how fast, what DWP's role would be, whether we would do something, sort of along the lines of a more traditional kind of incentive program. What's the role of things like building codes and other things, and where the technology is, so that we can assure people that that their overall energy costs will go down or not go up. Those are all things that we are looking at right now. And I know in terms of our forecasts, we are already incorporating into those forecasts some assumptions about building electrification. I don't know, Jay, if you want to speak to that.
So we participated in that co-funded study with SCE, SMUD, and other utilities, and they provided us a forecast in which we integrated into our integrated resource plan, and we also cross-checked the mayor's office forecast, which they used to develop the Green New Deal, and those forecasts are in alignment. So generally, we see that building electrification is beneficial because it increases winter loads, increasing your sales, but it also decreases your summer peaks because it makes the air conditioners more efficient. So that's where we're at right now. We're in the process of looking at how we can incorporate it into our programs.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And you're done with me for the moment.
No worries.
Okay, let's zip through the management reports. I mean the filed items. Financial Services Organization for May.
The May activity report is in your package if you have any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none. Power System July and Renewable Energy July.
Both reports are in your folder, and be happy to answer questions.
Any questions? Hearing none. LADWP Rates and Equity Metrics Semi-Annual Report.
The semi-annual report is in your package if you have any questions, and we'll follow up on the website to make sure it's up to date.
Thank you.
Hearing no additional questions, Quarterly Status Report on Water Quality Regulatory Compliance Projects, fourth quarter.
Reports there.
Questions? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting of July 23rd?
Commissioner, we need...
Yeah, we need Commissioner McLean-Hill for that.
Yes.
So we'll move to item 15.
Item 15 is something we heard about last meeting. It's the Eland Solar and Storage Project for solar energy and battery storage. We are nearing a time when the project has to move forward in order to be effective with the vendor 8-Minute Energy, who's relying heavily on the tax credits. So they need to have something going substantially to qualify for this year's tax credits before the end of the year. And so as we've been negotiating the project, we have been eating into the buffer that they have to which to start their work and to make investments in equipment and materials. That said, there is a question from our labor partners about project labor agreement and other agreements involving the project itself. I think it's it goes without saying that clean energy projects in California should create California jobs. And in this case, there is a project labor agreement in place, hiring primarily out of the IBEW local in Kern County, as well as some other work, labor work going on. And so the project is envisioned to create living wage jobs in the Southern California area. So we have folks here who can answer questions about the project, both from our project staff and from 8 Minute Energy. We do need to decide how best to move forward. We've been asked to delay voting on the project so that we can have a little more discussion with IBEW. If we also have the choice of voting on the project and then not sending it to City Hall for approval. This project cannot move forward without full City Council endorsement. And so, so they have to approve it, and there's no set time frame of that. It is important that we meet with our labor partners, as our relationship in all these projects is critical to how we move forward with our Power Future. And so I invite the board to ask any questions. Andy Kinnell, probably the latest guilty party to just walk in. James Barner is here, who's worked on the project. We have briefed the union on the project, but not had specific discussions about this issue yet. Normally, projects that are power purchase projects have never gone through an NOC process per se, but it doesn't mean we don't discuss the projects and their merits and things that are of interest mutually to the department and to Local 18. And so if there's questions about this, I invite you to ask any questions. Again, we're nearing crunch time for the project to move ahead. There are a couple different avenues which to do that. We did approve item number 16, which is the interconnection agreement for this project, which does send a signal that we're setting ourselves up to allow this project to move ahead, and with some promise to the vendor that it's going to become a reality. But here they're looking to make substantial investments and looking from a signal from us, as well as the rest of the power development community is looking for a signal from the department about other projects in the future. Just to put it in perspective, we'll hit about 35% by 2020, be a couple of percent ahead of the goal for renewable portfolio. But we have to hit 55% by 2025. So that other 20%, this project would represent about 7% of that. So it's about a third of that difference we need to get by 2025. So it is an important project.
7%
of the increase between between the 35%.
So
and
it's a third of the increment.
A third of the increment between 2020 and 2025. So, so we have some choices of how to best to move forward. We certainly want to work cooperatively and make sure that the project meets all the goals. And at the same time, we want to make sure that we're sending the right message both to our labor partners as well as to the energy development community as to what our intentions are. So with that,
Is this on closed session?
No, it's not. No, this is the regular open session. We heard a presentation from the group last time, but we actually deferred the vote on it. So we had a presentation, but no agenda item. So.
Yes. I'm James Barner, manager of long-term strategic planning, and I have the project manager, Dan Beasy, and the supervisor of the utility renewable group, Alan Wang. So we're here to answer any questions that you have on the project.
You know, I'd like to hear from the ratepayer advocate on this project.
I will make some general comments, and if we get into specifics, I'll call Camden Collins forward to comment on those. This is a very large project. It's of the scale that you would see some nuclear plants be. It's, as stated, 400 megawatts total in solar, plus the potential for 200 or 300 megawatts in storage. The developer has plans to possibly expand the storage, the solar portion from 400 megawatts to up to 600 megawatts so they can over-generate electricity intentionally that will sell to us at possibly very attractive prices for the excess, but it allows more electricity to be stored as well under a variety of conditions. So that's the project. The contract is unusual in that there's different sharing of risks than is typical. There's been a lot of time spent customizing this for the hybrid nature of the solar and battery relationship. That means there may be more things to be worked out in the future, but we think that is part of this process. This is, there are several decisions being made here in this process. One is the solar. The solar comes in two pieces of 200 megawatts each. The storage comes in two pieces of 100 megawatts each. And then expanded storage, which is being granted by delegated authority to the GM, but DWP says they intend to exercise that. Expanded storage adds another 50 megawatts to each project. And the price increases as we expand this, the unit price increases. So one, if we just did the solar over a 25-year period, including Glendale's share, which is about a little more than 6% overall, it's about $700 million for solar only. And that solar would be really cheap. It would be 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour, which is the cheapest we've ever purchased solar for, by a long ways. We've seen solar prices for utility scale projects since 2012 drop by 73% for what we purchase, not just the industry, but what we purchase. If you add that first layer of storage, which is what's being proposed in the item 15 in front of you, the total cost is about a little less than 1.2 billion. And if we do the battery expansion, the total cost is about 1.5 billion. But as we note in our addendum, these are all reasonable pricing for these components. They're about half of DWP's variable costs for generation now. So there will be savings from this when it happens. But it is a large first commercialization of this scale.
And you support it?
We're neutral because of the risk sharing, but we're optimistically neutral. But we had to tell you that there are different risk sharings on a lot of components of this. One component that's necessary to understand in this, while it will reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, in order to be effective as a first commercialization of a project of this scale, we still need coastal generation in place for reliability. This won't address coastal reliability questions. So we have to address how we handle coastal reliability as we move forward.
Separately,
and
independently.
Independently. Yeah. And it's not a substitute for anything at IPP either.
Well, that's important to know. Are there questions that commissioners have?
Yes. So a couple questions. First, to the ratepayer advocate. I'm curious about what you said, optimistically neutral. So I'm curious and would like a little more, because I'd like to understand a little more about how you got from where you were when this item was presented last time to where you are today. I know that there were a number of questions during, during this sort of overall presentation around cost, which seem to have been resolved. And then I'm also interested in terms of the conversation. I understand that this is not an item that we would typically get an NOC from labor on, but I'm curious as to what the nature of the discussions and concerns are, and how confident we are that we can resolve those concerns in a relatively short period of time.
I'll leave the NOC to Marty.
Yes.
Our opinion hasn't evolved. We're neutral on each of these steps, but we say even the double battery expansion is neutral. On the battery expansion, which is the last 50 megawatt step for each part, so it's two 50 megawatt expansions, you could do one of those or both of those. We can prove the concept with one, but we see the second expansion is also reasonable. Again, we're neutral because of the risks. This is a large project.
Okay, then I have a question to staff. You know, the ratepayer advocate has been identifying risk associated with the project now for, yes, this came up at our last meeting. It's here again. So could you help me sort of walk me through how you've satisfied yourselves that this project, how you've satisfied yourself that you have substantially or appropriately mitigated risk such that moving forward would be prudent at this time?
I think the risk is mostly centered around, you know, it's new technology. We'd never built a project this large. The contract does have performance guarantees in there and liquidated damages and lots of requirements for availability of the battery. And so I think you know, there's a lot of built-in safeguards to minimize the risk. So it really boils down to more of a technology risk, and that's borne by the developer primarily. If it doesn't work out, if the battery doesn't work out for some reason, we pay basically the solar price only. So if it, you know, so there's very little risk to us. You could wait for battery prices to potentially drop, but we can't guarantee that. And this does take advantage of the ITC, so that would be a risk. You would not be able to take advantage of the ITC potentially if it's not extended, and so you know, the price, you know, could very likely go up after the ITC after 2023. So we had the two options to really leave it up to, you know, staff and our independent analysis that we've done internally. We did it with EPRI, so we've had 3 analyses that we've provided in-house to support it. We've also, on July, I think it was 19th, we gathered up all of our internal staff with the ratepayer advocate, and they all expressed a desire to go forward with the larger battery, seeing all of the benefits of that, which are many. There's increased capacity, it's increased VAR support on our transmission line. We get more free VARs, considerably more free VARs under the larger battery option. So even though it you know, might cost a little bit more, we do get some benefits from that. It does utilize our transmission more effectively overall, which is important. Maybe not so much now, but in the future, as we, you know, start to fill up all of our transmission lines, that may push off the need for a very large, expensive transmission line down the road. So there's that benefit. And just looking at other alternatives, there aren't really any other good alternatives that are this cost effective. And so with all of that, I would say, you know, the risk is
substantially mitigated.
Yeah.
James, will you remind us what a VAR is, please?
I'll leave it to my electrical engineers to explain that.
Maybe we get free VARs.
He asked him to speak to us in English.
It's
not
called,
in tech talk.
They call it it's reactive power versus real power. So real power is megawatts. Reactive power is off by you know, it's out of phase, the sine wave. And so it's needed to help control voltage within a certain bandwidth on our transmission line. So it's very important as we have, you know, variable resources on our transmission line. You have a lot of variability. This stabilizes that, and it provides that support to not only this project, but future solar projects as well, and the projects that we've already invested in at Springbok and Beacon and Recurrent as well, that in that area.
Can I try a
It is true that we
simpler?
could use a tutorial in those issues.
Can I try a simpler explanation?
Andy Kendall's just glad I didn't ask him that question.
Yeah, can I try a simpler explanation?
Okay, yeah, you're a lawyer, you're used to translating.
No, I'm not a lawyer, but I've spent too much time with them.
But you guys do a good job of translating into English.
Think of a transmission line like a mug of beer. The megawatts are the beer. Control of the VARs are related to the foam. If you overfill the glass, you'll have a problem. So it is managing the amount of foam and space for the foam in the mug of beer.
Okay.
Any electrical engineering?
It makes the beer taste good.
You can visualize it.
Perhaps we'll use graphics next time.
So
No,
is
thank
this
you.
type of storage valuable in a high renewable energy system?
Yes, as you increase, you know, the penetration of renewables, especially on a transmission line like this, where it's the upper end is really not connected to a strong grid,
Okay.
and it's not heavily networked like most transmission lines are. It requires more VAR support than typically for a transmission line, and it has all of the transmission centered. All of the renewables at the end of the line or near the end of the line. So that causes voltage issues. So that needs to be corrected with this VAR support, which the battery supplies those VARs through the inverters and are able to adjust automatically.
We'll take that on faith.
Yeah, this is why I became a civil engineer.
Yeah.
So,
Marty, do you have?
So I didn't mean to distract from the rest of the conversation. So, so as I said initially, I mean, there's a lot of clean energy being built in California. I think that that rightfully should be creating jobs in California to construct that, and jobs that paid a living wage. And that's one of the reasons that projects like this have a project labor agreement. And so we have not had any specific discussions with Local 18 about this aspect of the project. And so I'm not aware of the exact concerns. Dieter Fernandez may be able to expand on if you have any information or not on questions we received. We do have, I will commit in no case would we send this forward to City Council without first meeting with the labor union. The difference being that if we approve this today, then we can discuss the project, but nothing could be changed. If we approved it in September and there were changes, we could make those changes before it came back. That being said, I'm not sure, based on the agreements that have been put in place, if any changes are really foreseen or not, because we have what we have. Can you explain what the PLA shows right now for the project?
Yeah, currently they have a PLA that's being finalized. It's finalized, but it's subject to final signature. It's a 5-trade PLA, so the majority of the work would be from Local 428.
And where's Local 428 located?
It's in Bakersfield.
Kern County.
Kern County.
Which is projects in Kern County, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Marty, if there were labor-related issues, would they be a component of this agreement in any event, or would they be separate from this agreement?
Normally, on a purchase power agreement, we would, be negotiating the contract, and not necessarily. It's different than other contracts where we might agree on overtime work or other work being done by our own crews. That being said, because we work in close partnership, we always want to make sure that we're engaged closely with IBEW, and a lot of times they have good suggestions for us as well. And so I'm not sure if there's anything that would change this project necessarily, other than to make sure that we all fully understand where the project's going. So we could move either way. Having item 16 approved, I think provides some level of reassurance that the project is moving forward. That's the interconnection agreement for this particular company to construct this project and to connect to our system. The commitment to the project itself, at some point, depending on which section of the city charter Joe reads, they have either, the city council has either 60 days or an infinite amount of time to approve a project like this, and they have to affirmatively approve the project to go forward. So what we would need, we really need to make sure that this company is able to start substantial work and make substantial investments by, at the latest, the beginning of December, or hopefully earlier than that. So how fast we get out of our house into city council's hands and how fast they would act on it is really the question. It's no way to predict that. We can certainly try to speed it up. I think that either way we have choice which way to go.
It sounds like our next board meeting is what date?
September 10th.
September 10th.
So it sounds like we would have sufficient time to identify and to work through the specific labor concerns, or at least to consult around the PLA, have the item back before the board, and approve the matter, giving the council plenty of time to get their piece done as well. It just seems like that time does exist. I appreciate that the other option being to simply approve and hold, which I would be comfortable with, provided that there was an understanding that if there were any changes needed, that it would come back to the board for those changes. I'd be concerned about unnecessarily creating problems with labor around a project of this importance. I think that we'd like to get it moving quickly. We'd like everybody bought in. And I think that among the things that we do want to think through and make sure that we have a proper understanding with labor on is how we communicate about these issues moving forward. This has been sitting here for a while, so I'm concerned that we haven't had whatever this conversation is that appears to be critical. So I'd be comfortable moving forward either way. I think my preference is always to have all of our ducks in a row before moving an item, but I could move forward either way.
As can I, so whichever way the board prefers, we will make it work either way.
What I'm a little confused about is you suggest that if we were to approve it today and have these labor conversations and there was a reason to alter something, we wouldn't be able to alter it?
It would have to come back.
Or we...
Right. The project would have to come back for approval if there was a change, which I don't know what change there would be necessarily, but we would commit to...
But it could come back in 2 weeks.
So what happens is once you pass an item, that's the item that gets submitted to council. So if you wanted to make changes to that, you would have to make those changes affirmatively. Council can't make changes to your item.
But if Marty's saying that we won't send it to council until you've had the conversations with labor, that would mean that we're not slowing anything down. If we approve it and you have the conversations with labor and there's no problem, then it goes to council. If we approve it and you have the conversation with labor and there are problems, we can still bring it back for the next board meeting.
I think the distinction you need to make there is once you pass the item, then it becomes a council item for affirmative approval.
I see. So we
So
cannot...
council has to affirmatively approve it. on a go-forward basis. If you want to change it in between that, you can, because council, it's an ordinance, council has to approve it by ordinance. So you can ask council to hold it up or not to schedule it.
Oh, I see, but once we approve it here, we cannot interrupt the natural flow from us to the council.
Yeah,
We
but-
would have to request that they not take it up, or that they substitute a second item.
You
that
would
we've
bring in a
approved.
second item, correct?
Or we could never send the first one.
Well-
Because then it belongs to the council.
We
Well,
could never send the first one to
I
council.
was,
Well, I
I was
don't know
under the
that that's the
impression you
case.
don't send it to the council until you sign it. I don't know if that's, I
No,
don't know
he
where
can't
I
sign
got.
it until council approves it. So
So
his,
no, it
his,
automatically goes to
your,
council.
your approval process is to give the GM authority to sign the contract. That approval process isn't finalized until council adopts it by ordinance. So whatever authority you were to give the GM is not final until council actually adopts it by ordinance.
But they won't get it until we transmit it to them.
Well, yeah, except I think that's the question that we're trying to
Right.
actually to
That-
determine. That's the issue, and that is, do you have the?
until Susie signs it.
Well, no, the question is, once we take a vote, is there actually any independent authority to not submit that item to the council?
It's the secretary who transmits the item, so it's her time space, but you're supposed to transmit once the item is acted on, you're supposed to transmit the item forward.
Yeah, then I don't
Yeah.
really feel comfortable doing that. I think we have to make a decision. We're either going to approve it or not approve it. The idea that we're going to create this sort of pocket veto just doesn't seem like a precedent that would be that wise to set.
Well, I will say, it doesn't have to be transmitted immediately, so there's some span of time in there allowed.
But it would have to be transmitted eventually,
Yes.
that particular item, not a substitute. We could transmit a substitute and ask them not to act. but
Well,
it
how
would have
soon
to
do you
be
think you can
transmitted
have the meeting
immediately.
with
Yeah.
labor?
Yeah, how soon?
Well, I'd plan to have it next week ideally. In either case. In either case, I don't see that we move the process along without a meeting, but in either case, it's a matter of which side of the fence we're on, but the fence is going the same direction.
I would,
My biggest concern is that we don't not send a message that we're serious about the project, and that we don't deter the vendor from making the commitments that they need to continue to make for the project, and that we make sure that it's going to happen in time for it to be financially viable.
well, I'm basically prepared to say that, my concerns were, as I indicated, twofold. One had to do with understanding better the issues identified by the ratepayer advocate, and hearing from staff that those issues have been, to the best of our ability, mitigated such that we can comfortably move forward, availing ourselves of the benefit of an exceptional project, notwithstanding the fact that, being first is rarely the place that most public entities want to be. But given what we're seeking to accomplish, being first is something that we've got to be prepared to take on. Staff has indicated, and I believe that with good counsel, that they have done all that can be done to mitigate the risk. With respect to the issue of consulting with labor, I mean, it is a significant piece of business to hear out their concerns and to do what we can to mitigate those as well, in advance of moving forward, from my perspective. And with respect to the timing, it seems that we do have sufficient time to do that, to keep the project moving forward, and to avail ourselves of the benefits of both the project and also of of making sure that we have done all that we can to advance the interest of our own employees. I think that's a critical, part of what we should be doing here. So, it seems to me that it's cleaner to defer action until the next board meeting.
Does anybody know what the concerns are from labor?
Have we heard any details? Do we know any details yet?
That's fine. Deetra Fernandez, Director of Labor Relations. We have not had any thorough discussions. What we do know is that concerns were about the project labor agreement. Initially, I was told that they thought that the work was actually being taken out of state. Hearing that that's not the case, but it is with the project labor agreement and the specifics of where that work would be done and by who.
And is there an assurance that the work will be done locally?
James, what do we have? Well, it's not signed yet, but the project labor agreement, but.
Yeah, I haven't received a copy of it, but it's a local IBW, branch 428.
Well, do we know enough to provide an assurance that the work would be done primarily, if not almost exclusively, by the local IBEW?
That's my understanding, is that it would be done by the local IBW primarily. There's five trades that are involved in the project, but the bulk of it is 428.
I know that I don't know enough to know what signals need to be sent that you're talking about, Marty, in terms of how far we need to go in order to send the kinds of signals that will cause the relevant parties to continue their engagement. I would not want to not send the appropriate signal. And I also would like, the fact that there is an assurance that the labor will be done locally by an IBEW component gives me some assurance. And it seems to me that we would have the leeway, if you think you can put together a meeting in the next week or 10 days, and if there is an issue that needs to come back, I would think that we could let our friends in the council know we'd like them not to act on it if we need to make some changes. So with that, I'd be, I think, more comfortable going ahead with the understanding that you have the meeting as expeditiously as possible, and if a meaningful problem arises, we reach out to the council and ask them to hold off so we can deal with any changes that might be necessary.
So, whichever way the board would like to go, I will make it work and make sure that everyone is engaged and heard out.
Okay, well, with those provisos, I move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Any others in favor?
Aye.
Any others in favor?
I abstain.
Any others in favor?
No.
So it fails. So then we don't have the votes to move it forward.
Okay, very good, thank you. Then we'll reach out to the labor union. We'll have it back on the agenda on
September 10th.
10th of September.
Okay.
And have any outstanding issues or questions identified and brought up to you so you're aware of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Will you do item 27? 'Cause I need to.
Commissioner, we need to do the minutes before you leave.
Oh, yes. We needed you to be here, Cynthia, for the minutes, so we passed them over. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting of July 23rd?
I move approval.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was easier. Those were
painful.
Okay. You're on for 27.
Yep.
Susie, can you read item 27?
Yes, just a minute. Item 27 is approval of the Second Amendment to Agreement Number 47457-8 between the City of Los Angeles, acting by and through the Department of Water and Power, and Brown George Ross LLP. This amendment adds $3,500,000 in funds to this agreement. The term of the agreement remains the same.
So there's no presentation necessarily, just Mel had to recuse himself, so.
No, I understand. So, are there any questions on this item?
None for me.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
At this time, we will recess in a closed session to deal with the items set forth on item 28 of the closed session agenda, and in accordance with California Government Code Section 54957.1, we will report any final actions taken therein. We are in recess.